Hello, good morning, Love Wrestling. It is Thursday, November 14th, and you see Drew, you see myself, so you know what that means. It's another edition of Firmly Love Wrestling, Firmly AEW, this lovely Thursday morning. We got Johnny already in the chat saying, morning, gents. Morning to you, sir. Drew, how we doing this Thursday morning? How are you, my friend? I'm stuffy. I woke up stuffy. You hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I noticed
I'm not
that.
sick or anything, but like I woke up and it's like, meh. But I have my coffee. I have my coffee. I have my water. I don't know what happened. I just woke up. I'm like,
My allergies have been going a little crazy the past few weeks. So
knock on wood, because I know you can have them every time. You can get them at any point in your life, but I've never really had allergies ever. Like I
am jealous.
When I was a kid, we didn't have pets in my house because my dad was allergic to dogs and cats, like the fur. So we didn't have pets like that.
Also lucky.
And when well, that could go both ways, because when you're a kid, I mean, I think you kind of want pets, right? For the most part. But we couldn't because my dad was allergic. Then when I was a kid and I would go to my friend's house or family members' houses and they had cats, I would pet the cats, and then I would like touch my, my face or my eyes, and my eyes would be red, watery messes. And I was like, oh shit, I got the same thing my dad got. I'm going to be allergic to animals and the thing. But then I got Lou. I think I was stuffy for like the first 3 weeks I got Lou. And then I think my body was like, well, he's yours now, so you can't be allergic to him anymore. So you're not allergic. And now yeah, very few and far between I wake up like this. So I'm just like, was today the day? Is today the day that I woke up with allergies for the rest of my life? Because I know it can literally happen anytime.
It is not a fun way to live.
I
hope it's not for you.
Yeah, no, my mom is allergic to pollen and all the, and so I've been around people, and some of my close friends get murdered with allergies. So I've been around people my whole life that have been like, their lives are literally changed and ruined due to their allergies. And it's like, I avoided that for the most part. I'm trying to avoid that. But yeah, I woke up today and I was like,
there are some allergy seasons where my nose is legitimately like a leaky faucet.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I sound like mine would be today. You know what I mean? Like that's the sound I'm going. But
yeah.
Way they go. Johnny said he keeps no allergies. Yeah. But anyway, first and foremost, I interrupted you as I normally do. How are you doing today, though, for real?
I'm good. I usually base how am I doing things around wrestling, but
that's not a good way to live, Drew.
It's not. I know.
It's not a proper way.
But personally, I think I'm doing pretty okay, considering the state of affairs of this country at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a week and a half. We're all over it, aren't we? That's usually how the cycle works, right? We don't care. We don't care anymore. Half the world doesn't care anymore, even though he's putting people into places literally to just avoid going to jail. Great. All right. So, all right, we're not going to get into that, but everybody he's picking on his cabinet so far, literally, if he didn't win and was picking them, they'd be going to jail. Great. Can't wait. So we're gonna talk about some AEW last night. Excellent episode of Dynamite. Excellent episode of Dynamite, I thought.
I don't refute that, but there are some things that I need to address.
That's fair. That's fair. Not every episode of wrestling is perfect, but I thought last night's episode was a mighty fine episode. It took place from Bridgeport, Connecticut.
It might as well have been in Stamford.
Well, listen, that crowd wasn't great all night. It's Connecticut. Listen, I live in New England. It didn't shock me that it was in Connecticut and the crowd sucked. It is what it is. But I will say, we'll get to it. Simple mistake. It is a simple mistake. It happens, but oops. So yeah, it took place in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Not everybody on the AEW roster knew that, but it took place in Bridgeport, Connecticut. AEW Dynamite. And Drew, for the first time, and I want to say a month or so, we got to opening this show with a match. And it felt good. I felt like AEW was getting in this routine where we were opening every Dynamite with a promo. And I don't mind promos. I like I like some entertainment in my wrestling, and I like some wrestling in my wrestling. I am give me a good mix. I don't lean one way or the other. I know some people, whatever.
Yeah, this show certainly had a mix of everything for sure.
I don't mind, but I felt
yeah,
like
me neither.
I felt like AEW Dynamite was leaning way too heavy into starting every show with a promo. And I feel like when Dynamite has always been at its best, it's when it started with like a fire match. Like we're just getting into like a real good match, get the crowd ready to go, and then you let the stories,
Well, remember, it was mainly because John Moxley is taking over the company. So every show,
we'll talk about that.
Collisions.
Let me tell you, that didn't happen. But we'll talk about
even
that.
Some collisions started with like previously on Dynamite.
Yeah,
with the Death Riders. Yeah. So they stopped doing that. I think last week. I don't think they did that.
No, there wasn't a promo. I thought there was a promo to start the show.
I don't think it started the show. Or maybe it did. I don't know.
I felt like they've been going like 4 or 5 weeks in a row where there's just been like a long promo to start the show. And I'm like, all right, like I get it. But like, I miss Dynamites that would just start, oh, we got a match right away. Let's go. And I felt like last night was that. Yeah. The show starts off with Christian Cage and the Patriarchy making his way to the ring. He is teaming up with Hangman Adam Page, and they are going against the Bang Bang Gang, Switchblade, Jay White, and Rock Hard Juice Robinson. Very good tag team match to start the show, as you would expect with these 4 fellas. Kind of like the pairing of Hangman and Christian a little bit. Kind of liked them as a tag team there. I enjoyed them 2 being together there.
Yeah, they're both douchebags.
Yeah, and like the perfect way, though. You know what I mean? It was like the perfect. Very much enjoyed them. Obviously, Juice Robinson and Jay White are great as well. Juice Robinson being back now after being gone for so long. Welcome sight to see him back. This was a very, very good tag match to start the show. Scott, good morning to you, my friend, popping in here. We get towards the end of this. Kip Sabian. So at one point, Nick Wayne gets kind of run off, I would say. Right? Like he goes to the outside and Nick Wayne gets kind of taken out.
Well, Hook
rather. Yes.
Got him, yeah.
So Nick Wayne is like starting to get involved a little bit. The Patriarchy is around ringside the whole time. And Nick Wayne was near the barricade, and we see Hook come from the crowd. He chokes Nick Wayne, drags him over the barricade, and kind of removes him from the match. And then that leads to Kip Sabian grabbing the contract and the contract case and hitting Juice Robinson over the head with it towards the end of this match, which leads Juice Robinson to fall right into Adam Page's dead eye for the 1, 2, 3. So the heels here, Adam Page and Christian Cage, get the victory over Juice Robinson and Jay White. This is continuing the story to Hangman versus Jay White at Full Gear. The Full Gear card is really starting to form into shape. It's looking like it will be another home run of a pay-per-view for AEW with the way that card is shaping up. We'll get into that more over the next few weeks. But What'd you think of this opening tag team match, Drew? I thought it was a pretty good one to start the show.
Very good. And I really particularly, I agree with you. I did like the pairing of Hangman
Yeah.
and Christian Cage.
Yeah.
Hangman really has this like aura about him right now of just, I don't give a shit. Yeah. 10-minute mark. I don't give a shit. I didn't look before I said that word, but it was after 10 minutes.
That word's fine, I think. I think as long as we don't drop an F-bombs in the first 10 minutes. But I think I said shit like 3 minutes in, so hopefully. I mean, I think it's really the F-bomb they look for. It's kind of, I don't know how it goes because we've been kind of told like, hey, first 10 minutes, try to avoid the F-bomb, but try to avoid swears. But then I watch other YouTube videos and people are dropping F-bombs 30 seconds in. So I don't know the rules. I don't know the actual
Those
rules,
people may not care about being monetized.
Maybe. I don't know.
But yeah, so he doesn't give a shit about anything really at this point except just hurting people. That's the only thing he cares about, is hurting people.
Yep.
And I do like Christian using that metal contract thing more.
I do as well.
Because it's like, hey, it's a weapon.
Yep.
And the referees never say maybe this weapon shouldn't be hanging around ringside, but that's wrestling. And yeah, so I really enjoyed this. And the pay-per-view is going to be really good based off of what's happening so far.
Oh yeah. I mean, some of these matches are lining up, and there's some matches that we know we're getting that they haven't even got to yet, and it's like, man, this is going to be, it's lining up to be quite the show.
I just kind of want it to be more than just banger pay-per-views, though.
I mean, I think they're kind of getting in a groove, and I've been very critical. Like a month or so ago, you and I were getting on here, and you were digging the shows, and I was not. I was like, these are very mid shows to me. The last 2 to 3 weeks of Dynamite, I thought have been going in a direction that makes me feel a certain way. This is a wrestling show, my friend. We are very supportive of that community, though. Drew is a member of.
I would hope that I would support that community.
Drew is literally a member of that community, so we are very loving and very accepting and very welcoming of all people here. But we talk about pro wrestling here, so we're not trying to.
Good old G right here.
Deep. We're not. Yeah, he's a good old G. He's a good old G.
Yeah.
But we are very supportive here at Love Wrestling.
Married too. However, I'm not wearing my ring at the moment. But
but we are not here to dive into any heavier or big topics. We are very welcoming and supporting. We welcome all members of that community and every community here. But we talking about pro wrestling, bro. So if you
awesome.
feel that way, you stay here every Tuesday and Thursday.
We don't get political either.
No, we do not. We do not. It's hard not to over the last couple of weeks, and I'm sure I've said a one-liner here or there that I probably didn't have to say, but damn it, I don't care. But yes. But we just started diving into AEW Dynamite. So that's how
you're a wrestling fan, you've come to the right place.
You have come to the right place, my friend. You have come to the right place. All right, so but like you were saying, like I agree. I feel like I feel like AEW for a little bit, especially earlier this year through the middle of the year, was very much like okay, these weekly shows, some are good, some aren't, but the pay-per-views are always fire. They always have been, right? I feel like the last 2 episodes of Dynamite, but maybe 3, I feel like they might be kind of getting in one of them grooves again.
So let me clarify so y'all know I work for Fightful also, and I am doing some Wednesday night Dynamites I usually cover just Collision, but I'm filling in for a few Wednesdays for the rest of the year, I think, for Luis over there. And so like I had to really pay attention more than I normally do. I'm watching the show to pay attention to cover it on Firmly AEW, but but when I'm watching the show, I'm really, I can like get up for a moment. I can maybe look at something else. I can do some other things, but when I have to do the Google Doc for the post show, I'm very glued in.
Yeah.
So as I was going through Dynamite last night, I was like, wow, there's been a lot of talking. Just like an insane amount of talking. And my biggest criticism of them is not that, because I like the talking. I like story. People, the constant criticism.
I was going to say, AEW doesn't tell stories, Drew.
They tell stories. They tell damn good stories.
Yeah.
Now, my problem is, you're definitely a wrestling fan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, keep that up. Yeah, we're going through Dynamite, so we'll be getting to that soon. But yeah, keep up those comments.
So the funny thing that this comment just referenced right there, I actually don't like the transitions, and that's because
really
I want them to let the segment breathe for a couple of extra seconds. Just give it a couple extra seconds.
All right.
There was a specific, when we get to it, I think I'll remember.
Yeah,
but there was
we'll bring this comment. We'll bring that comment back up when we get to it as well.
There was a specific moment that happened last night where it's like, thing happened, bam, next segment. It's like, what? Wait. Give it 5 seconds. We don't have to rush right to the next thing. Because also as somebody that's like, I'm like summarizing promos and stuff. It's like, oh, wait, they actually paused the show because I have to finish typing the damn sentence. So that's why I can continue paying it. It's just like, we gotta keep it moving in a good way. I like that
they should stop so you can finish your thoughts.
Their pay-per-views. No. Their pay-per-views are like a completely different thing.
Yeah,
like that. It's the action after the action after the action, and I like that. That should translate a little bit more to TV, though. A little bit more.
All right. We'll talk about it because I disagree. So we'll talk about it when we get there. But after this match, we have Renee Paquette. She's backstage. She's looking to interview Mercedes Moné. Mercedes is upset that she has to defend her title against Stat. She blames Camille. Renee goes, last week you tried to run over Statlander with your car. And instead of Mercedes being like, what? No, we didn't try to do that. She's angry at Camille. She goes, it's not my fault Camille's a bad driver. And she couldn't do it. And so she's still blaming Camille because she couldn't drive. And then she's yelling at her, you just dropped my $20,000 jacket on the floor. You can't do anything right. So it seems like we're getting to this Camille-Mercedes split way sooner than I had originally. I thought this would go for at least a little, but it's happening. It's happening immediately. Like right after, I wouldn't be shocked if it happens at Full Gear or literally the week after this Statlander. Like feels like it is next for Mercedes is Camille. So that happens, and then we see in the background as Mercedes is berating Camille, Statlander appears on screen, and she's standing a little bit off. Camille then makes her way into the locker room, and Mercedes is in the hallway by herself. She turns, she sees Statlander, and Statlander goes after her, and Mercedes tries to run away, but Stat gets her. Camille then comes out and tries to help, but she does not. And Statlander ends up spearing both of them through a wall into this empty little room that wasn't set up to be speared through at all, Drew. That was just happenstance the way that worked.
Absolutely.
But spears them through a wall, and they're all laid out, and that's how that segment ends. Drew, I am very excited for that Mercedes Statlander match. I am very excited for it. I think that has a chance. Again, I've said this about multiple Mercedes matches, and a few of them had ended up being clunkers. But I feel like Statlander and Mercedes.
I don't know if
really
it was the fault of Mercedes.
I'm not saying it is either, but I've been hyped up for a few of these matches, and they haven't lived up to the billing. But I think this match literally has a chance to really be one of the show stealers at Full Gear in a few weeks. Isaiah's saying Chris is trying to dismember Camille at this point. I'm starting to feel bad for her. Chris is trying to kill her. She walked through. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. A wall conveniently just leading right into another hallway.
Yeah, with nothing there, just chilling, vibing.
But yeah, so I am also surprised that we're doing this Camille Mercedes
It's quick. It's quick.
thing. Yeah, it was pretty quick. But I'm enjoying it because like she's gonna get what's coming to her, obviously. But
Yeah.
she pushed the $20,000 jacket on the sling arm. Like obviously she's not going to be able to grab it, but she's being an evil little heel,
Yeah.
and Camille is eventually going to get fed up with it, and that's going to be a really great time. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll happen at the pay-per-view.
Maybe. And this
I
is
guess.
part of it. This is part of it. There's been rumor that Mercedes has want to work with the Renegade Twins, and there had been rumor of
Oh,
how that was an
I
original
did not hear
plan,
that.
maybe, of a group, but one of the twins has been hurt and stuff like that. But I think part of the reason why we're getting this is they know what they have in Camille, and I don't think Camille should be a sidekick at all. I think Camille should be one of
Oh yeah, she's like
the
a pretty
focal points.
decorated wrestler.
Yes. And
So-
I think that she should be one of the focal points of the division moving forward. So I feel like Mercedes kind of being on her own, or being, if they pair her up, let's say they do pair her up with the Renegade Twins, which has been kind of a thing that's been talked about here or there. That to me feels like Mercedes is 100% the leader of the group. Those are kind of her henchwomen in the background taking care of business. You see Camille, and it's very much the Shawn Michaels Diesel effect is what we're getting here.
Right. Yeah.
But if you know that callback, if you know what they're trying to do, Diesel didn't stay with Shawn Michaels too long. You know what I mean? Obviously longer than this. This has only been a few months, but like I feel like it's going to be Camille and Mercedes right after Full Gear. That's the next program, and I think we see the Renegade Twins or whatever plan they have for Mercedes, whether it's another group, more people, whatever. That is going to be the catalyst of what probably gets her past Camille. After Stephanie.
So I want to address what Johnny just said there, because
right here.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I think she's getting better with her promos.
She is, yeah.
I think she's getting better with her promos. I just feel like, and look at the way people wrestle. Like if that's how that's how she grew up wrestling. Like she was in the local stuff around here where I'm from, chaotic wrestling and stuff like that. But she grew up in NXT and in WWE. That's how she grew up wrestling. So it's probably going to be hard for her to kind of lose.
I know, like we have to do the say hello to your CEO thing, but we don't have to do it every time. Because like it's kind of getting. Well, it's not kind of. It is repetitive at this point. Like we don't have to keep say hello to your CEO. Like okay, you're the CEO. Your thing says CEO.
Mm-hmm.
It literally starts your music CEO. And the crowd isn't really doing it that much anymore. But it's it's like all right, we don't need to like choking you with it. Can we just let's just calm down with the CEO thing now, and let's just focus on the wrestling.
Yeah. So after this, we have Tony Schiavone in the ring, and he welcomes Will Ospreay. Ospreay thanks Tony. He says, Tony, you can get on out of here. I got some serious business to talk about. And he asks Kyle Fletcher to come out because he needs to talk to Kyle Fletcher. So Kyle Fletcher comes out. Fletcher says that Don Callis and the family begged him not to go out there by himself, but he had to prove to Will that, unlike Will, he's not a coward. He said, weeks ago, I tried to call you out face to face, but you sat at home to lick your wounds. He goes, and just know, the family's not far behind me. So if you try to lay a finger on me, the next time we'll send you home again, and it'll be a lot longer than just 3 weeks, pal. So they start talking. And Will even points out, and Will goes, hey, I know, I do know the family. And he goes, and I know you got something in your pocket. You got something ready to go. So before you get in this ring with me, let's even it up. And
very smart.
Fletcher pulls out the screwdriver, throws it at Will. And then Will threw it and it like stuck in the ground perfectly.
Yeah,
like, I was like, did he plan that earlier? Did he like practice that earlier
sure that was
in the day?
Unplanned, but it made for a great moment.
Incredible. So then
also, I agree. I did not realize how tall
Yes.
Kyle was.
Kyle Fletcher is, yes, a sizable figure. So that all happens. Will starts going into the typical, like, you were a brother to me. I'm very disappointed about what you did to me. He goes, you used to live with me. A lot of people don't know this, but during the pandemic, you lived with me. You and Davis were a tag team, and I took you both under my wing. We created Aussie Open, the United Empire. Well, you did Aussie Open, but the United Empire. He's going into their history. He goes, you know where I live. You know where I train. He goes, you know where my kid goes to school. And he's like really talking about some personal stuff. And he goes, but I need answers from you. And Kyle says that Don Callis opened his eyes to the truth and that everything you do, Will, is just about you. He said, he goes, you wanted to keep me under your wing so I would do your dirty work. And then you succeeded. And I succeeded, but never as much as you did. I was always behind. He calls Will selfish. He calls him a hypocrite. And then Ospreay goes, hey, man, pick a lane, dude. You say you don't want to be anything like me, but then if we look at the last couple months of the things you've done, you're doing things just like me. You mentioned me turning my back on Okada. You mentioned me turning on Kenny Omega. Yeah, I did that stuff. But when I did that stuff, I was already 2-time Super Junior champion. I was already one of the best wrestlers in the world. He goes, you're doing this stuff now. What have you done? And then before Kyle can talk, he goes, no, not what you and Mark Davis and don't talk about Aussie Open. You individually, what have you done? I thought that was good by Will. I thought it was like, no, don't talk about your group. I'm talking about you, buddy, because you're doing the stuff that I did, but you are nowhere near the level that I was when I started doing this stuff. Not that it makes it right, but it's a different scenario. I love Fletcher as well. Fletcher never getting angry and being chill and keeping calm and just standing there like a rock. Like, this was a really, really good promo segment. And again, this is AEW, a promo segment that I thought was knocked out of the park. Promo segment. I don't care that they do this. I felt like they were getting not monotony is not the right word. They were getting just in the string of like, let's open every show with the promo. Yes. This show felt very well paced to me.
And this definitely won't be like Isaiah saying that it doesn't feel like this will be the only match between them.
Agreed. I agree.
So I agree. Yeah, that'll probably be a thing.
Oh yeah, 100%. We got Sunday Sinner popping in as well, saying good morning. Good welcome, sir. Happy Thursday. So then Kyle tells him he's going to surpass him in every accomplishment that Will's had. He's going to do it better. And at Full Gear, live on pay-per-view, he wants a one-on-one match, Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay. Ospreay accepts. And then he gets a little bit personal. He said, this is personal, man. He goes, you don't have no idea what that Tiger Driver 91 did to me. He goes, I still can't feel my left hand and my left arm. He goes, last week, he goes, I was with my son and we were doing something and he was holding my hand for 5 or 6 minutes and I couldn't even feel that he was holding my hand. And he goes, you took that piece away from me and you took that piece away from him. And he goes, and at Full Gear, I'm going to take that back from you. And then Fletcher says that if you think the Tiger Driver and the screwdriver to the back of the head was bad, he goes, at Full Gear, I'm coming for everything, brother. And he goes, but first we'll find out what condition you arrive at Full Gear in. And we see Lance Archer and Brian Cage then enter the ring. And then Ospreay kind of backs up and he's smiling. He goes, oh, don't worry. I knew he'd bring friends. He goes, but I got friends too. And then we see Will Hobbs and Mark Davis slide into the ring next to Ospreay. Davis slides in. They all start brawling. And then at one point, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis do that thing where their backs touch. They turn around. Davis looks at Fletcher. Fletcher looks at Davis. They don't really hit each other. Davis still looks like, what are you doing, man? Come on, don't do this. Like, come with us kind of look. They don't end up hitting anybody because Will ends up taking Kyle out. And then it just led to this big brawl, which kind of went into, so like one of these transitions that Isaiah was talking about. Lance Archer was going one-on-one with Roderick Strong. So this whole segment as it finished into the brawl, as things were kind of moving around the arena and doing Roderick Strong's music hit, and we kind of went right into the match with Roderick Strong and Lance Archer. Isaiah's saying that he doesn't believe in Lance anymore. He should have been the first TNT champion, and he hasn't felt important since. Well,
I don't think he's ever felt important. To be totally honest with you,
early on he did. I thought
very early.
He was one of the few monsters they had from the
right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah, he was one of the few big guys they had. I do think putting him in the Callis family, that obviously helps him. It's going to be. You would think he's going to be on TV more times than he is not, being part of the Callis family. So hopefully it helps him.
I think he's been on TV already more in the
like
past,
a month straight. He's been on almost every week.
He's been
100%,
almost all year.
100%. So
whenever they need a big guy for Battle of the Belts.
Yeah. So the brawl ends. Lance Archer's kind of around the entranceway. Roderick Strong's music hits. Roderick Strong comes out of nowhere with the kendo stick. Hits him. We have a was it Falls Count Anywhere? It was Falls Count Anywhere. One-on-one match between Lance Archer and Roderick Strong. And this was Roderick Strong's chance to get his third victory to earn the spot at Full Gear against MJF. This match was fun. It was a brawl. It was Falls Count Anywhere. They went all around the arena. Mike Taven and Mike Bennett showed up at one point. And Lance Archer did a couple cool spots with them. But this all led to Roderick Strong hitting a jumping knee in the crowd and pinning Lance Archer. So Roderick Strong then clinches his victory. Johnny, I mean, I'm not against it. I do think it was rather one-sided. Now, the Kingdom guys being out there. Yeah, I mean, it was. The Kingdom guys being out there, I can understand, but I did think that Lance Archer didn't get enough in offense until the Kingdom guys got there. Like, I felt like it should have been more. Lance Archer's like 2.5 times bigger than Roderick Strong. And I get it. I love Roderick Strong. He's one of the best in ring, but Lance Archer needs to get some offense there. Does he not? He's a monster of a man. Like,
I know. That's just what Isaiah's saying.
Exactly. 100%.
Just not feeling that important.
Yeah. So Roderick Strong hits a knee. He pins him in the crowd. And then we see MJF watching somewhere, a sly smile, like he's got a smile on his face. And then post-match, Roddy gets on the mic. He tells MJF he's going to beat his ass at Full Gear. And he is then blindsided by Konosuke Takeshita. And he's beating him down. And then we hear Adam Cole's music. And Adam Cole makes his way to the ring to not only defend his friend, but he then has his match trying to get his third win against the TNT champion, Konosuke Takeshita. So let's catch up on some comments. MJF does not have a title. MJF has always been important, Isaiah. He's always had his own. He does not have a title, but listen, the MJF
he has
Adam
a ring.
Cole, he does have the Dynamite ring.
Which we see in this match.
Yeah, so he doesn't have a title. But I feel like that last sentence you said, they've always done that with MJF. Cody had to get the lashes. Then Cody had to go through the 5 things. Then when it was him and Jericho had to go through the things and all blah, blah. He even said that when he was doing this, the first original promo, when he came up with the stipulation of these guys winning 3 matches to get to him, he even said in the promo, like, he made fun of it. He was like, oh, look at me, causing, you know what I mean? Like, he was like, oh, me causing obstacles for people to fight me. Like, that's so me. Like, he even made light of, this is what MJF does, It's just, it is what it is. However, though, as we get into this match with Adam Cole and Takeshita, this went away that I was not expecting, and I liked it. Good match between Adam Cole and Takeshita. It is so good to see Adam Cole back in wrestling every week, Drew. For me, he was so missed. He was so missed not being there. Like, it is an immediate, I don't know. I was just watching him last night, and I was like, man, it just feels so good to have this guy back every week in wrestling. He looks like, knock on wood, he is healthy, and he's getting better in every one of the matches. And I know Johnny And Isaiah, we talked about it last week, Drew. We were like, are they really going to have Takeshita lose 2 straight weeks? Like, is that what they're going to do?
It seemed like there was going to be some sort of schmoz or
yeah,
something.
because he lost to Ricochet in a clean pin at the end of last week's Dynamite. And then we were like, he's fighting Adam Cole, and it's the 3rd match for Adam Cole to get to MJF. Like, are they going to have to not only Takeshita, but are they going to have their TNT champion lose 2 weeks in a row? But very good match between the two of them. But at the end, near the end of this match, Takeshita rolls out to he takes a knee, he rolls out to the floor, and we get a very good camera shot of him having the Dynamite diamond ring that we remember MJF sending to Don Callis in the business arrangement. Takeshita puts the ring on his hand. Adam Cole then kind of moves the ref out of the way to go grab Takeshita. Takeshita gives him one of his... Takeshita might have the best strikes in all of AEW. His strikes just incredible. And he hit him with the strike, with the ring, knocked Adam Cole out. He then gets in the ring. He gives him his lateral press, and he pins Adam Cole 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. So Adam Cole does not get his 3rd victory. So Adam Cole will not be going to Full Gear to fight MJF. They then show MJF afterwards laughing hysterically at the sight of Adam Cole losing. We get right back to the ring. Takeshita looks like he's about to take out Roderick Strong, but Kyle O'Reilly runs down, chair in hand, gets in the ring, runs off Takeshita. And as Takeshita is going to the stage to try to leave, Ricochet then comes out of nowhere, who got a pinfall victory over Takeshita last week. He hits a big boot on Takeshita. And then we go back to the ring. Kyle O'Reilly helps Roderick Strong to his feet. And then Adam Cole kind of gets back together. Adam Cole offers a handshake to Kyle O'Reilly. And O'Reilly says, nuh-uh. And he leaves without the handshake. Roddy and Adam kind of fist bump and do their thing. And they get out of here. So a lot to unpack in this whole thing here. But the main thing is Roderick Strong got his 3 wins. Adam Cole did not, Drew. So as of right now, and I want to get the Sunday Sinners comment. As of right now, it is 1-on-1 Roderick Strong versus MJF at Full Gear. Adam Cole looks like he's going to be doing a whole lot of nothing at Full Gear now. But they also led up to they're definitely leaning towards Ricochet and Takeshita with the win last week. And that's going to be a match we're getting. A lot of stuff going on here. But I liked it. This was different.
Yeah, it was not what we expected.
Correct. I think everybody was just under the impression, oh, they're both going to get their wins and this is going to happen. We're doing it. But no, they threw a wrench in there, man.
They did.
And I like that. Screwdriver in there.
Now I'm... I see what you did there.
All right.
You'll be here not all week.
Try the veal. But anyway, continue.
So I was initially not a fan of this, but then looking back and went, oh, well, of course. Some people were floating, oh, obviously they'll both get to 2 and then have to face each other.
That's what I thought that was going to happen.
You said that, I think, right?
I thought that's what was going to happen. I thought they were both going to get to 2, and then MJF was going to be MJF, and he was going to go, oh, hey, you both have 2. You guys need to fight each other to see who wins the 3rd one. Like, I thought that would have been so MJF. Then they don't do that. And last week, Adam Cole says he talked to Tony, and they're going to have a triple threat match. So then everybody's like, you and I last week were like, okay, well, 100%. They'll get to the triple threat match, and then Roderick Strong is going to turn on Adam Cole and join MJF, and that's what's going to happen here. And now all of a sudden, Roderick Strong gets his 3 wins, but Adam Cole doesn't. And then we have Sunday Sinner, and I want your opinion on it. Sunday Sinner says, I think Roddy now steps aside and lets Adam have the match because of their friendship and the history of everything, and then he will then still turn on Adam Cole. And then he thinks it'll end up being Cole and Kyle that will team up against MJF and Roddy, I would think at that point. So now it's where do they go now? Because now everything's not as expected as we all thought it would be. You know what I mean?
Well, there must be something to the Kyle and Adam moment
100%. There has to be,
because
right?
so they're and also Kyle is part of the conglomeration, but I mean, I don't know if there's that much loyalty to group in this company at this point. Who isn't in a group? Name a wrestler right now that's not in a group. It'll take you like 10 seconds probably. So yeah, it's unfortunate because I feel like maybe Kyle and Adam end up teaming up again. I don't know how they're gonna get there now because I would figure that unless what Cinder said, maybe Roddy does step aside.
Well, that could happen.
I don't know though. But then at the same time, I was like, but why did Roddy even really want to face MJF in the first place?
To revenge for Adam. That's really been because Roddy's been there the whole time and Adam hasn't. So I think it's really.
But MJF and Roddy had really not had any interaction since Adam Cole was off TV.
Yeah, but also those guys were in the, Adam Cole created that. I know he was hurt and he went away and they kind of got away from it. Like those guys were in the group that Adam Cole, they started that group to get. So
but it didn't. It feels. I think what feels weird about it is that they just dropped it.
Yeah, I think it was the right thing to do, though.
No, it was definitely the right thing to do.
Right. It was for sure. Yeah,
but then they did that promo when Cole came back and he was a bad guy still, and MJF was the babyface, and then he spit on the mask and threw it and did all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now the roles are reversed again, and the bigger issue that like I've seen a lot of people say, and that I kind of have with it too, is so it could also lead to what Cinder said. Maybe MJF and Roddy doesn't happen unless MJF and Cole. But then also, I think Sean or Alex last night on the Fightful show said, "Oh well, it makes a lot of sense for it to be Cole and MJF at World's End because that's when
a callback. Yeah,
that happened." So,
and then you can end World's End, not end it because it wouldn't be the main event, but you can end World's End with MJF getting the victory over Adam Cole with Roderick Strong and the Kingdom standing at hit. You can end it the same way you ended it with Adam Cole, but with MJF in the Adam Cole role.
Oh.
And then everything is reversed, and it's like, no, F you, buddy. You thought you got me? Fuck yourself. Pardon my French. But I think that's the way you do it, right? Because you and I are pretty much aligned with plenty of people that Roderick, they're turning on Adam Cole.
Yeah.
100%. Like that is the story is, and Isaiah asked, what does Taven and Mike, Mike Taven and Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, what do they do there? They're going with Roddy. They're aligned with Roddy more than they're aligned with Adam. That they're with Roddy. So if Roddy is turning on Adam Cole and joining MJF or aligning with MJF, the Kingdom is going to do the same. And I'm trying to remember
last year now. So at World's End, because I was there, so I saw that whole thing.
Yeah.
In person.
Yeah.
So the match ended between Samoa Joe and MJF.
The lights went off.
The lights went out, and then the devil people were holding Adam, right? They were holding Adam.
The lights went out, and then it came back on, and Adam was sitting on a chair. MJF was down on the mat, like not out, but like down on the mat. Adam Cole was sitting on a chair, and all the devil people were behind him, and they all took off the masks, and it was Roddy, Wardlow, and Bennett and Taven. And that's, Then they
So
took out
then at
MJF.
World, so then okay,
Well,
so then
I
at
don't think
World's End,
I don't think Roddy's going to be sitting on a chair, but I think
No.
at World's End,
MJF is going to be sitting in a chair.
maybe they could do it all that way if you wanted to, but I think at World's End, whenever that match happens, the end of that match is literally the exact reverse. And it is MJF sitting there with those guys behind him looking at Adam Cole, laughing and going, "Huh, how's it feel, bitch?" kind of thing.
Right.
And then I think
Yeah.
it's Adam Cole having to go
I was trying to think of like
guys to actually get his revenge on MJF.
I was
I don't
trying
think
to think,
this
and
was-
yes, I also did forget about Wardlow for a little while.
Yeah, I don't think I would be shocked if I would love to see Wardlow paired back up with MJF if they're going to keep him and use him. Like, why not? At this point,
He
like,
will
the
need
dude's
some
doing
more
nothing.
enforcement.
Yeah, the dude's doing nothing. Just let it happen. But I think that's what we're leaning to. Whether it's an exact replica of what happened at World's End last year or not. Is this last year's World End or 2 years ago World End?
Last year.
Okay. Whether it's an exact replica, just in reverse, I don't know, but I think that's how you do it. So maybe they do actually do. Maybe Roddy tries to give the match to Adam Cole, and Adam Cole is a noble dude because he's a good guy and goes, "No, man, you earned it. I didn't. You have the match. You have the match." And it is Roddy versus MJF, which will be a banger. It'll be Roddy versus MJF, and then MJF wins. And then I think then the next month, World's End, we get the one-on-one, and everyone thinks Roddy's going to be out there to help Adam and revenge Adam because MJF beat him the week before or the pay-per-view before, and then Roddy in the Kingdom. I don't know if Kyle will be part of that, Johnny. I think Kyle, if anything, like Sunday Sinner said, will be on the Adam Cole side of things because what have they been showing Kyle this whole time? He hasn't been, they don't show him on TV when Roddy and the Kingdom are out there. They show him watching the monitor when specifically Adam Cole is out there.
Good point.
So I think the Kyle stuff is probably he's going to be on Adam Cole's side of things. Wouldn't be against if everybody turned against Adam Cole because Adam Cole had everybody turn against MJF. So it would be very revenge-like and evil MJF-like to be like, "Oh, you took all the people, I trusted you and I've never trusted anybody and you made me, all right, well, all the people that you trust, I'm taking them all from you. Taking them all from you."
The Wardlow did not turn on Adam Cole.
No, but it was going to happen. It was going to happen. Right. Adam Cole was very not nice to Wardlow. Very not
so
nice.
It would be a little strange for him to then pair up with him. But
yeah,
I don't know.
It would make sense for him.
He did have a bigger hatred of MJF, though.
Yeah, it would make sense for him to pair up with MJF for sure.
But he had more of a hatred for MJF.
Yes, big time. Big time.
So I don't know if that really even makes sense. I don't know. I think taking Wardlow out of the picture, I think maybe because Kyle is involved, maybe the conglomeration help Adam Cole.
Maybe I don't need this to me that now we're starting to get too convoluted for me. I feel like the people that have history in this are Taven, Bennett, Roderick Strong, MJF, and Adam Cole, and Wardlow, but he's not around. So we'll like you said, we'll exclude him from this conversation. The story revolves around those 5 dudes. I don't need a bloodline shit where I just add extra people to add extra people. Like I don't need, let's find a 5th guy that has nothing to do with anything about this story and just throw them in there for no fucking reason. Like I don't need the conglomerate. I don't need it. It's between Adam Cole, MJF, and the side characters, which are Taven, Bennett, Roddy, and I'll allow Kyle.
Okay, but then it's just 2-on-4 the entire time.
Then you can get there. You can get there after that. I'm not worried about 2-on-4. I'm worried about how do we get to where we're getting next. And I think the next logical step in this is Roderick. Samoa Joe is the guy that I'm asking about. He was very much involved. He had a deal with Adam Cole. He was working with them to F MJF up. He wasn't with them, but he made a business arrangement. He made a business arrangement to help them. And and he's been filming stuff. He hasn't been around since he lost the title to Swerve. It's been more than half the year. Joe hasn't been around. Where is Samoa Joe? And when he comes back, does he come and help Adam Cole? Because he helped Adam Cole he was very much a side piece in getting MJF in that story where Adam Cole needed him to go.
Oh man, I miss Samoa Joe.
I do too. Incredible. So I'm hoping he comes back at some point. He's been gone since literally February. And I know he's filming a show, but I don't know if he films a show for that long. I don't think it's that long. Been gone for 7 months. What's going on? But Samoa Joe is the guy to keep your eye on because he was somewhat involved in this, especially when you found out that he had a business arrangement with Cole or the Devil. I know he's filming that show, but it seems like he's been filming that show for a long time. I mean, he left in February. Now, I don't work in the entertainment industry.
Actually,
most people, when they go away,
leave in February.
Yeah, didn't he? Oh no, he was doing some stuff with Hook, right?
Yeah, I think that was like.
Was that later?
Like around.
Did they make it to Double or Nothing?
When did? Okay,
did he have a match at Double or Nothing?
Double. I think maybe he lost after Double or Nothing.
Is that what it is? Because he lost to Swerve, and then maybe he was around for a little bit after that because he was doing the Hook stuff. I still feel like he's been gone for 4 or 5 months.
Like at least like 2-3 months they were.
Did they really? Man, whoops. I felt like he's been around. He's been gone for way longer than that. But either way, I do think Samoa Joe is a name we need to keep an eye on. Because he does have some business with these.
I'm going to tell you right now, his last match was the Stampede Street Fight against Chris Jericho.
Yeah,
and that was July 10th.
Really? Wow, that's way later than I thought. July 10th. Holy crap! I'm telling you, I smoke too much weed. I don't remember the timelines of anything, Drew. My God. My God. How else are you supposed to make it through the day, though? So
I mean, I figure it out.
You know what I'm saying? you know. So that's going on. A lot of intrigue, a lot of ways that they can go with this, but I very much liked what they did here. And we'll obviously be talking much more of this because we got to figure out where this is going to go. But I do think End Game is at World's End. We get just an exact reversal of Adam Cole sitting there.
That would be nice.
On the ring by himself with all his friends turning their back on him. I think that's what you do. After all this, we see a truck rolling up in the back, Drew, and we see Marina Shafir, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta all getting out of the truck. As we know, very soon, Jon Moxley will be seizing. Is that what they said? Was that the word they used?
Yes, that is the word they used.
Seizing TBS, which we'll talk about. But before that, we had Renee in the back. She welcomes in the Hurt Syndicate and Bobby Lashley. MVP cuts her off and goes, "Where did you get your journalism degree from? What are you doing?" And he takes over. He puts Lashley over. And he asks him, how's it going to feel to potentially end Swerve's career? And Bobby Lashley goes in very short, but he says, hey, he goes, I'm here. I have a big history with Swerve. He goes, one thing Swerve doesn't realize is I'm here to hurt Swerve. And I'm going to hurt Swerve at Full Gear. So, this didn't shake the world or anything like that. But good enough. We then get the Death Riders making their way to the ring. And let me tell you guys, what the hell did JD Drake do to anybody? Why are you beating up that guy? That's not cool.
It was so random.
That's not cool. You've gone too far. JD Drake did nothing to nobody. Pissed me off. But they're beating up JD Drake. We see him kind of enter the frame. They're beating him up. Wheeler Yuta, Claudio beating him up. Moxley gets in the ring, gets on the mic. He talks about Orange Cassidy. He says, you have a chance of a lifetime. He says, your friends, your fans, your peers, they're all depending on you. The pressure's mounting. He goes, but you're cool as a cucumber. And he goes, so I got to make an example out of you at Full Gear. He says, I'm going to brutalize you. Everyone who thinks they want to be a contender will run and hide, and they'll continue doing what they like. So I'll be able to keep and have the AEW championship. Orange Cassidy then makes his way, and he is followed by Mark Briscoe and Rocky Romero. Orange Cassidy said he wanted to come out here and let John know that he agrees with him. And he believes that he's going to do all these things he says he's going to do. And it's because of what's in that briefcase. He says, you hold the symbol that represents AEW and everyone in it and everything professional wrestling can be. And he goes, it's the power. And you have the power, John. He goes, we could fight all over the arena, the parking lot, catering. He goes, but to win that title, we got to wrestle. And he goes, and for a guy who doesn't like wrestling, I'm pretty damn good at it. He goes, I've beaten you. I've beaten you, which is true. And he goes, so at Full Gear, I'm going to beat you again, and I'm going to take back all the power. He goes, a few years ago, you said that you were playing checkers and everybody else was playing chess. He goes, but there's one more pawn I got to get rid of. And next week, I want to wrestle Wheeler Yuta. And Yuta's yelling, I'm not a pawn. And Claudio's just looking at him going, shut up. Stop yelling. Claudio's just looking at him like, shut your mouth. Just sit there. Take it.
That was a very interesting moment because I was like,
he starts yelling and then Claudio doesn't say anything right. He just kind of hits him. Like he hits him like, shut up. Like, stop talking.
Yeah.
And then OC goes some more. And then they go back to Yuta and he starts yelling again. And at that point, Claudio goes, hey, shut up. Like he tells him to shut up, which I thought
was the big part of that moment was that, that literally shows that you're a pawn.
Yeah.
Like there's telling, it's like it was so like it flowed beautifully in.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not a pawn. I'm no pawn. Shut up.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
And you can see like on his face, it's like, oh wait, maybe he's right.
Yep. So yeah, he challenges Wheeler Yuta to a match. And then Moxley says that if Orange has the guts to pull, he goes, next week, that match will happen. We'll see if you have the guts to pull the trigger on someone you think is a friend. And until then, I got one message for anybody who wants what he has and referring to the AEW championship. And he says, abandon all hope. And he goes, then the Death Riders go to leave. And as they're going to leave, Darby Allin comes out of nowhere and jumps off a balcony. He's wearing a pink Sting mask. Jumps off the balcony, takes out part of the Death Riders. Then the conglomeration is involved. Everyone's brawling. Moxley and Shafir, they kind of walk past it. They get in the truck to leave. Claudio then gets in the truck. They're starting to speed off, and Yuta is nowhere near there. They're starting to speed off, but Darby out of nowhere runs in and jumps in the back of the truck. Claudio then gets out of the truck, picks him up, throws him into the loading dock door, and then he swings him into the loading dock door, which is a cool spot. Claudio then runs to get back in the truck, and then we see Wheeler finally arrive and dive into the back of the truck. Yeah. They sped off. Good little segment. Although I will say, for them seizing the TBS network, it was no different than any of the others. This was nothing. You promoted it as something different and something bigger than it actually was. Did I think it was a good segment overall? Yes, I did. But you can't tout it as they're taking over the show, taking over the network, and then they do the same fucking thing they've been doing every time they have a promo. There was nothing new or different about this segment than any of the other Death Rider in-ring segments we've seen. So I don't know why you touted it as them taking over the network when they fucking did not.
Yeah, it's starting to get to be a little bit of a problem because
Isaiah, I agree. Soon, once he's healthy, hopefully. Soon.
That's true. Yeah,
I think that's on the docket of this. I think he's part of. I think that'll be part of the story.
Sinner's comment there.
Yeah, right here.
It's very much on. It's something that I was going to reference. The Elite beat up Tony Khan earlier this year. They did one Dynamite. I think it might have been the next Dynamite where it was like an all Elite style intro video of the song of the show. And that was really the only, and like they showed themselves like in the TV production thing like once or twice. And then they did that one funny moment that still gets brought up today where Okada was in the truck and
Oh yeah,
either cut music or did something by accident, and I think that's where the bitch thing started.
yeah.
But that was pretty much it, and like there's been no follow up to
Mm.
that, to the point that they kind of just dropped it with the
Yeah.
Elite. Now this Death Rider thing started, and I don't even know when Death Riders became a thing,
It was
because
just a couple weeks ago.
it just was like so random, just all of a
Well,
sudden.
well, it's his finisher move, right? Is the Death Rider
I think, yeah, it's the finishing
Mox's
move,
finisher
but they would
move?
never.
Well, I'm glad.
There
I'm
was
glad.
no like
Yeah.
segment that said, "Here we are dropping Blackpool Combat Club, and now we are the Death Riders." It was just like they enter the ring, they enter the arena, and they're just being called the Death Riders.
I mean,
now.
I don't mind it because we were still calling them the BC. Like, I'm glad they kind of differentiated it at least. And they're like, we understand that a lot of guys are in. This is not the BCC.
Okay, I don't have a problem with them.
Yeah.
Not being called Blackpool Combat Club anymore. I was saying, I feel like a year ago, maybe even almost over a year ago now. What the hell are they doing calling themselves Blackpool Combat Club? So I have no problem with them not being called Blackpool Combat Club anymore. Just that, like, all of a sudden, one Wednesday they're Blackpool Combat Club, and then the next Wednesday they're Death Riders.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
You know, but the other thing is, like, all right, so the whole week was promoted as John Moxley seizing the Superstation, the TBS Superstation, whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're gonna do this, at this Moxley is the AEW champion and taking over the company angle, we got to start making it actually feel like he's taking over the company.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just doing the same generic for them now at this point thing of like riding up in a black pickup, entering the ring, brawling with some wrestlers, and Marina's got the title in a briefcase.
Yeah, and John Moxley saying some, like, I'm not going to pick the right word, but some philosophical stuff about abandon all hope or like all these things. And it's like, okay. And again, I like the group. I like the angle they're doing, but now we need to get to the next phase here. We need to get to the next phase. And maybe it's after the Orange Cassidy match, maybe, because Darby is clearly next in line. Obviously, we mentioned Eddie Kingston, but Eddie Kingston has more time to go before he's back than not. So that's not going to be anything that happens soon. You're talking next year, at some point. But yeah. And we got Isaiah saying that he looked at the Elite stuff like high school bullies and Death Riders are a murdering group. Like the Elite thought they were tough until Tough actually walked in the building. Sandy, welcome in, my friend.
Hello,
no worries
Sandy.
about being late. I know we know you're not a huge AEW guy, but we appreciate you popping in every week and saying hi at least. Sunday Sinner saying Tony's problem is he's good at starting angles, but doesn't seem to know how to navigate them after that. He needs more help with putting this stuff together. Well, I feel like it's just these type of angles because there's other long form angles that he's told that have been perfect throughout. Like certain, I would say the Hangman Swerve thing was a perfect story. The Hangman getting to the world title was a perfect story. He can do that. It just feels like when he's doing this type of angle, it's tough. Oh, wow. Then we got new music coming in saying the Elite can suck it. I hope Perry and Okada lose the titles. Well, maybe.
Well, I think one of those things
Jack
is
Perry
happening.
will. I think Jack Perry is going to, but we'll talk. Oh, all right. And Johnny's saying, I don't know how true this is. I have no reason to not believe him, but he's saying Mox supposedly
I think it was Johnny that mentioned that New York Post. Was it Johnny that mentioned?
Yeah, he mentioned the New York Post, which I did
not see that.
So I'll look at that after this show, and then maybe that's something we bring up in the future.
They kind of mentioned it on Fightful last night. It seems like it's more Moxley's part of it seems more in character, not like a shoot interview.
Yeah,
I think he was kind of like shitting on the AEW creative and the booking philosophy.
Got it.
Like, like the stuff that he was saying in the ring, pretty much.
Yeah, I get it.
And apparently, I mean, so Mox supposedly has creative control, but also RJ City seems to be the guy spearheading this story right now, which that legitimately shocked me when I heard. I was like, not that I don't think that he can't tell a good story, but just that. I mean, he was a big proponent of the whole Tony Storm.
He was the guy
Tony Storm thing.
That was his story. He was the one telling the story. He wrote most of that. Like he was masterful of that. Yeah.
So this is just like a totally different. It's like the timeless tone. The same guy did the timeless Tony Storm thing, and the Moxley Death Rider thing. So he's got a wide range of storytelling capabilities, which good for him. He's a good person for wrestling and a good person for AEW.
Yeah.
The only problem though with this specific story is that it's not going anywhere. It's been treading water for the last 2-3 weeks of it's just repetitive.
I think it feels like they're just trying to get to the pay-per-view. They're just trying to get to the pay-per-view with him and OC, and then hopefully something's different after that. That's the vibe I'm getting. Is there's really not much there's not much more story to tell between him and OC.
Yeah.
So it feels like they're just kind of, let's get to the pay-per-view, let's have the match, and then we'll kind of go on from there. But I do need, there you go. See, Johnny saying that he set himself up for the whole higher power thing, and now that it does not seem like they're doing that, he's having a harder time getting into the angle.
2 or 3 weeks ago, I came on the show, and I said, if you all remember, I said, us wrestling fans, we blew it. We tricked ourselves into the beginning thinking of the higher power and the Shane McMahon and whatever, and that was gonna affect some people. I said that, and I was like, well, we shut ourselves up to fail in this case, which is why I can't blame it all on them, because the way that Moxley was talking originally seemed like there was this he had even said, I think, higher power, and they've been saying the greater good, Hot Fuzz reference. And, it seemed like there's this person up here. I think somebody had mentioned in our chat, maybe it was Johnny that week, like, oh, maybe Eric, spitballing people who can be the control, get the higher power. It could be Eric Bischoff or Bully Ray, I think, was mentioned too. But then it just very quickly became a repetitive, just Moxley coming out, brawling with wrestlers, showing up in an F-150, brawling more, leaving the same way, outside brawl. It's just been the same thing for 2-3 weeks in a row. So all right, well, we got the pay-per-view coming up. Now, is the big moment going to be at the pay-per-view? I'm not going to speculate. And I don't think that other wrestling fans should either. We should just let whatever's going to happen.
Let it happen and react. Let it happen and then react. I feel
don't think that Shane McMahon is going to come out and be revealed.
I said it when it happened. I said, hey, I know where we're all going to go as wrestling fans. Don't. Because most of the time that we start doing that type of stuff as wrestling fans, we end up getting disappointed. Because our wrestling fandom minds go everywhere. Shane McMahon's going to show up and they're going to be in charge of that. And we just go to this crazy place sometimes because we're wrestling fans and we want the most wild and crazy thing to happen that's going to blow our minds. And now it's a month later and we're not getting, and again, it's not all our fault, but we're not getting into the angle due to a multitude of things. But part of it is because we blew up the angle in our own brains, that it was going to be something bigger than it so far it is. And not saying that people in this chat or you and I are these people, but a lot of those people who do that, they then, like you said, get angry at the wrong people. And they start shit talking the performers or the company or this or that. And it's like, well, Did the company ever really come out and say Shane McMahon was fucking going to be this? No. That was the wrestling fans that just went crazy with it and go, oh man, this is going to be, this is it.
To be fair, and I did mention this at that time. It's not like that came out of nowhere.
No, and I get it. But AEW didn't put these pieces together. The wrestling fans put the pieces together.
Yeah.
And now the wrestling fans are starting to get turned off or even kind of, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's okay to feel that way, but you should be feeling that towards yourself because you made up that shit in your mind, buddy. They didn't tell you that was happening. They didn't. Yeah. So you know what I mean?
It would have been better for not in the 1 to 2 week time span of Shane McMahon shown in a picture with both Tony Khan in a back some place at a table, and then with the Young Bucks at an airport. It would have been great if 2 weeks later there wasn't John Moxley talking about it not being your company anymore.
Yeah, 100%.
All that stuff. But again, that's not the company's fault necessarily.
It isn't.
The fans. Oh, I mean, they could have. Maybe it's not even the I wouldn't. Okay, so let me rephrase. It's not. I won't say it's the company's fault. I'll say that it's John Moxley's fault because he's the one that said that line that way right after the pictures with Shane McMahon came out. Maybe I would have steered away from it, making you assume that something else bigger was going on and he wasn't the leader, because the first promo definitely felt like that.
Yeah.
So, and then they deviated afterwards. But then they started talking about, oh, this is all for the greater good. And, it's still,
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying...
We don't know. We don't know where this is going yet. We have an idea, but
we don't know yet, but don't... I started this year off, and I really kind of faltered, but I started this year off when we came back after a little hiatus, saying I am no longer going to fantasy book. I'm going to see what is presented to me and judge and go along with what's happening, because I am not the storyteller.
Correct.
Now, did that exactly end up happening? No, but it's really, when watching wrestling, it is better to be offline. It is better to not fantasy book, because more times than not, you're going to end up fantasy booking in your mind something better than what you're going to see on TV, and then it's not going to be as good. Okay, remember how much last year I was booking the Devil storyline and how it should have went. Baker needed to be involved.
I just fantasy booked what I want to happen in that storyline with MJF in the role reversal with Adam Cole. I just did that.
Yeah, right.
That might happen. That very well might happen. But if it doesn't happen, exactly. This is what I'm talking about. Exactly. That's why WWE 2K24 exists. Yes. That's why wrestling action figures exist. Right. And again, part of being a wrestling fan is fantasy booking. It's part of the fun thing of doing it. But you also need to understand that most likely what you're fantasy booking ain't going to fucking happen. And when it doesn't happen, you don't need to get butthurt about it. And there are people out there.
That's the worst part.
That's the real thing, is being fantasy booking as a wrestling fan is part of the fucking gig, man. Fantasy booking is part of the fun thing of being a wrestling fan. We've been, we want to see, oh, this is what I would do if I was in charge, or this is how I would do this. But when it doesn't happen that way, that's okay. It's like, okay, oh, they went that way. I still think my way was, it's okay. But there are people that will fantasy book, and then when it doesn't go the way that they think it should go, they're just fucking toxic about it. And it's like, you're a loser. You're a loser. Just sit there and take it, It is what it is. But all right, after this, we have a Renee backstage with the learning tree. Big Bill is talking about a person finding their true self through hardship and challenge. And then Chris Jericho says that, he has a soft spot for Tomohiro Ishii. He says they go back. They were working together 30 years ago. in WAR, which I believe is a wrestling company in Japan. He goes, at that time, though, I was a big, tough main eventer, and you were just a young boy getting me my coffee, which I thought was a nice little dig. He accepts Ishii's challenge for a match for the Ring of Honor Championship, and I think he said in 2 weeks on Dynamite. I think he said.
Yeah.
So he accepts that. And he talks about their last match, which was the match where Ishii just chopped him for Jericho's chest. Was a bloody mess in that that match he was referencing with Ishii. And he says he's going to invoke the glory of great Ring of Honor champions of the past, like Jay Briscoe. And he mentions Jay Briscoe's name again. So I thought this was fine.
We all know what's happening there.
Yeah, I thought this was fine. Sunday Center saying he can't wait for Big Bill to turn and the stupid learning tree to be over. Yeah, I mean, I think Big Bill, I don't think this is going away anytime soon. But I do think at one point Big Bill will be the one.
I did not even know that this segment happened.
That's fair. I mean, it was very quick. It wasn't anything life-altering or story-altering. It was really just him talking about the match and still mentioning Jay Briscoe. So that tells me that the Mark Briscoe thing is not really going away yet. Whatever.
Yeah,
it was fine.
Alex last night on the Fightful Post show was like, yeah, so then the Chris Jericho blah blah, and then Sean was even like, wait, there was a Chris Jericho segment last night on the show.
It was very quick. It was very quick.
And then I said, wait, what? There was a Chris Jericho segment on the show?
Yeah.
I may have skipped it by accident, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But yeah, I don't. It's okay. Any iteration of Chris Jericho is not bad.
I agree.
The problem is when it drags out too long. And that I think that's the main issue that people have with not the group that Chris Jericho is in, but the feuds that Chris Jericho's groups get into.
Yeah.
Or that they take too long. And it's just okay. So this thing with the conglomeration / Mark Briscoe has now been happening for 2 months.
Yeah. Because and that's the whole Jericho vortex thing. It's like they have these good ideas. Like the learning tree at first with Jericho being the guy that he heard, everyone's shitting on, oh, he's on TV too much and this and that. Him turning that into a character that wants to be on TV every week to annoy people. That's a good idea.
With a talk show called TV Time.
Yes. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And Jericho's the perfect guy to do it. It's just that doesn't need to last 3 months, man. It can do it for a couple weeks or a month, and then that's the problem. The problem isn't the ideas that Jericho does, because he's good at changing things up and he's good at reinventing himself. And this tree, the learning tree stuff, I haven't hated it all. But like you just said, this hasn't had to have been the last 4 months, dude. This shit could have been a month and a half or 2 months. And that's it, man. But it's like the Jericho stuff. They go, okay, this is a good idea. We know Chris is going to do good with it. Let's just let him do it for half a year. And it's like, it just doesn't need to happen. It just doesn't need to happen. He's already fought Mark Briscoe more than once.
3 times now.
Yeah, so why do we have to do it again? I understand he's fighting Ishii first, but him mentioning Jay Briscoe means that the Mark Briscoe thing is still the main thing going on. And why does that need to be happening still? Move on to somebody else. And it just gets stuck in this repetitiveness that is annoying. We then had the return once again to in-ring competition of Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. She went one-on-one with Penelope Ford. I thought this match was fine. However, I thought the ending of this match was very cool. Whereas Penelope Ford went to put in the Muda lock to try to get Britt to submit, and Britt did a very, very good reversal counter.
I really like that a lot.
Into the lockjaw. And then she tapped out Penelope Ford. I thought the ending in this match and that transition and the reversal into the lockjaw was a really cool and unique transition. I thought overall, I thought the match was fine. I thought the crowd, for the most part, sucked last night.
This crowd was, oh my God.
Very bad crowd. Very bad crowd. But I thought this match was fine. I thought this was a fine match between
not
the
even
two.
Not even 10 minutes into the fucking show, you could hear a pin drop in the fucking arena.
I thought the crowd did not kind of live up to, they got a good show last night and they sounded like they were sitting on their hands for most of the show. I agree, Scott. She's gone through a lot health-wise this year, though, so I'm not going to hold that against her, but she does look a step slower than usual. I did see somebody put out a tweet, and maybe we can save this for a bigger discussion, but like later on in future weeks when we see Britt more regularly on our shows again. But I saw someone throw out a tweet or on one of the social medias, I forget which one, where they said, has Britt being out for so much this year, has the women's division talent and wrestling wise passed her by? Because when AEW was first founded, they had an okay women's division, but there wasn't a lot of like super duper talent. And Britt clearly stood at the top, presentation, character wise, and even in-ring wise at that time. Now we're 5 years into it, and the talent on the women's roster is better than it ever has. It's flourishing. They brought in Mercedes. They brought in Camille. They brought in other people that they have that were there with Britt 5 years ago are now better and more seasoned and things like that. And it's one of those things where, again, she's had a rough year health-wise. She's only had a handful of matches. I don't necessarily think the tweet was right, but I did see that, and I was like,
here's a question. If at the start of AEW, with the women that they had, in the first like year, 2 years,
yeah,
was Britt the best one?
She was presented to be.
She was presented to be, but was she?
I mean,
Ida was there. Rio was there.
Was she the best in-ring wrestler of the bunch? No, but she was hands down the best. She was the best women's wrestler on. She was having good enough matches combined with the character, the TV time. Like, they presented her as the biggest star in the division, and a lot of that was earned by her. But they presented her.
Oh yeah,
they presented her as the biggest star in the division. And now the division is a lot stronger and there's a lot more depth. And you have Jamie Hayter, who just came back. You have a Mercedes. You have a Camille. Willow is in a better spot now. Mariah May is your champion. She's at a level that is higher. Toni Storm hasn't even come back yet. Like, you have all these women in the division now that maybe Britt doesn't look, she's not far and away better than everybody else anymore. And I think that's taken a certain mystique of her character away from her. And I think maybe that is part. And again, she hasn't been, like, we need to see her get in a groove. She needs to be back, be healthy, be putting on good matches regularly. But I saw that message on social media, and a part of me was like, oh, maybe that's a discussion to have down the road if this continues. Because last night there was, and again, the crowd in general sucked last night. But I would think for a Britt Baker match, when we haven't seen Britt that much, there would have been more of a reaction for her than we got last night. That was very quiet. And it wasn't even a bad match. It was just, it felt like there was no juice behind Britt Baker last night at all. Or for basically most this year.
Okay, so I think what could be the problem is that she is too one-dimensional.
Maybe. Well, and Isaiah's saying basically that something just doesn't connect with him, and he felt that when he was at a St. Louis taping a while back. And then he, cracks a joke. How can I love Britt when Jamie Hayter's there? Like, there's a lot more options now. You look at the first 2 or 3 years, and it really was Britt Baker and everybody else. And now that's a crowded room now, man. And Britt Baker is more in the ocean swimming with fish than being the fish at the top,
Back then, there was Riho, there was Sheeta, there was Nyla
Rose,
Thunder Rosa, there was and who's had her own issues too. I mean,
Penelope was there from there were these people,
Bunny,
yeah,
and Jamie Hayter as well. So I think what ended up happening was I don't want to because I really don't have any. I don't have any insight or knowledge.
yeah.
I just have my feelings and things that I've heard that we've all heard about Brit. Like she can be a little catty backstage, and she kind of wants to do things her own way. And I feel like while it's that may or may not have anything to do with what's going on right now. We don't know for sure. But in the beginning, she was way more interesting. Way more interesting. Like,
I would agree.
remember the feud that she had? I think it was Big Swole.
Remember her? Yeah, Big Swole was good.
Where it was right in the beginning of the pandemic, and she had that little like talk show style thing in a dentist's office. I don't remember what it was called. Waiting room. I think it was called the waiting room.
Yeah, something like that. I think so. The waiting room. Yeah.
That
sounds familiar. I'm not. Yeah.
And they play. I think like playing up her as a dentist in the beginning was really good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I think this is a good point by Johnny as well. It does feel like the thing to me that is okay. So obviously, understandably, like you're not going to be at the top forever, right? There's waves, like, yeah, is The Rock one of the greatest of all time? Yeah. Was The Rock near the main event all the time? Yeah, but there was plenty of time in The Rock's career where he wasn't fighting for the world championship. He was doing other things, right? There's always going to be waves when you're like, and I feel like the thing that sticks out the most to me is not so much how Britt is not at the top of the card in the women's division anymore. It's how I can tell that she's bothered by not being there.
Yeah.
I can tell watching on my TV screen that she doesn't like not being at the top. Like I can tell in her aura, in her demeanor, however you want to do it, I can tell. And I don't want to bring it up because obviously there were other things that I'm not on the ins. I don't know, but I could tell it all in when she was walking out for that match with Mercedes. I could tell immediately that she wasn't feeling it. And she was
you mentioned
and you could tell immediately. The second she walked out of the curtain, I was like, she looks like she's not thrilled because she probably knew she was losing. She didn't like her placement on whatever it was. I don't know. I'm not her. Everybody's emotions are valid. I'm not going to sit here and pretend. I don't know. But that's the thing for me is when I watch Britt Baker now, I can tell that, or at least it comes off to me that she kind of doesn't want to be there. That's the vibe I get, that she's just kind of like, whatever, dude. And when I get that vibe from her that she's very much like, whatever, why am I giving a shit? Like, why am I fully going to be like, oh, yeah, hell yeah, Britt Baker. Like, I can tell you're not having a good time.
Before the show started, this show.
Yeah.
I don't remember where it was on Twitter, and I was going to send it.
Show this because it's always nice when people tell me I'm right. But that's okay.
I was going to send it to you in a DM, and I forgot. Somebody, I don't remember who it was, and I have to paraphrase because I don't remember the exact wording. But last night, I didn't pick up on it. Maybe you did. After she won the match.
Well, something did happen at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so Serena Deeb comes out.
Yeah.
With her flag.
Yeah.
She's just standing there, and it seems like, okay, these two are going to have a match.
They're going to fight. Something. That's the next match for Britt, probably. Yeah.
She was saying in the ring something to the effect of "No one cares." Maybe not no one, something about not caring or nobody cares, something to that effect.
Yeah.
Britt just saying that.
Yeah.
While Serena Deeb was there. And like, well, is it is that projection? Is it you saying that because
Right.
you don't care?
Yeah, and I think, and that's just the vibe I get. The vibe I get is he feels like she should be at the top of the card, fighting for championships or being the champion. And this year, again, we've only seen her sparingly for the most part because of injuries and other things. And I'm not here to critique or judge any of that. But what I have seen from Britt Baker in her last 3 or 4 matches, the vibe that I get from her demeanor is that if she's not winning or not involved in a title picture, she doesn't really give a shit. That's the vibe I get. Yeah. And if the performer doesn't give a shit or comes off to me like they don't give a shit, why do I give a shit? And I think that is the problem with Britt right now. No, I'm not talking about any of the backstage bullshit. Health things are health things. You got to make sure you're healthy and you're good to go. I also feel like her being a heel would do her wonders if she could just be a heel. And not presented as a baby face and just kind of, I think as a heel, she might be able to like do it in a way where she could maybe talk about her frustrations, but in a heel way where it works.
Yeah. Right.
But that's that's where I feel like the disconnect is with me and Britt is like, I watched that match last night. And like I said, it was a fine match, but it looked like Britt was just kind of going through the motions of the match. Like she didn't really give it. Like it wasn't, that's just the vibe I'm getting.
I mean, she worked phenomenally as a heel, especially in the beginning when they leaned into her being a dentist and like the little like the fun little interactions she would have with Tony Schiavone in the beginning.
Yeah,
I remember she had been injured and she was in a wheelchair and she was sitting in the wheelchair next to Tony Schiavone. Yeah. When somebody, I think it was either Jamie Hayter or somebody was having a match in the ring and they're just like going back and forth. And that was very entertaining. Yeah. But ever since she was gone for a little bit and then she came back and this was before the last time she was gone for a little bit. Ever since that first time where she left for a little bit and came back, it's just not been hitting. Yeah. It really hasn't, unfortunately. Yeah. Like I was in the crowd for the 5-year anniversary show when she came back and she got a good reaction because it was Pittsburgh. Yeah. But you know, it's always Britsburg when they go to Pittsburgh. But I don't know. It didn't feel like it used to.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of things that go into it, but Sunday Sinner saying it's a mix of what we're talking about and he thinks it's personal stuff. And again, I'm not here to judge anybody's personal stuff. And if that is, I assume that that's not easy. However, there are plenty of people that go to work under similar situations that aren't making the money she's making. At some point, you just got to be an adult. At some point, you got to be an adult. And again, I don't know if
give me your contract.
Yeah,
I'll happily.
I don't know if that's part of the reason. And if it is, like, I hope she's okay, mentally, physically, and all that stuff. But at some point, you're an adult that's going to work. You gotta get over it, and you gotta go to work and put your best foot forward. And like, I don't disagree, Sunday. It feels like she's just going through the motions until she's out. Like, that's what it feels like. But again, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to sit there and pretend that I know how she's feeling or what she's thinking, but there is something off. See, exactly. Drew has broken your heart many times, but you still show up. You just got to sometimes. We're adults, you know?
I know.
Okay. After this match, we have the segment of the night.
I break Ultimate Hater's heart a lot more.
Yeah. We have the segment of the night for me after this match. Renee Paquette is backstage with Mina Shirakawa. She says that she misses Mariah May so much and she's looking forward to seeing her wrestle. And they're going to have a big sham.
I just want to interrupt. Don't ever tell Hater that I mentioned his name on this show. I will kill you.
Fair.
Just putting that out there.
You heard that all. That's
I don't know who. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
That's a threat to my life. That's a threat to my life. You all heard that. That's forever. So if I end up, something happens to me.
No, this had nothing to do with you.
You said you would kill me.
Not you.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking to Center.
All right. Fair. I was like, wow, I just got threatened.
You don't even know. You don't even know. There's some guy, Ultimate. It's a long story. I'll tell you off air.
Yeah. So yeah, they're gonna have a champagne celebration. Harley Cameron rolls on up. She takes the champagne glass from Mina. She downs it and like kind of spits the glass out. Hilarious. And she goes, some people say Mina is the Harley Cameron of Japan, but I'm the Harley Cameron of Harley Cameron. And then she goes, so on Collision, tit for tit, Drew. And we're going to jiggle our, at each other. And then they both just start jiggling their prizes, man. And it's great. And they're doing it. And the crowd's getting amped up. And then Renee is just like, all right, that's enough. And Renee's like, come on. And as Pluggo or Between Two Beards said on Twitter, they just said, Renee doing her best right to censor tribute. Guys, come on. This segment was fucking hysterical. Harley Cameron is a treasure. She's hysterical. Mina's great. Renee, like Joe says, Renee is, Renee was excellent in this segment. This was hilarious. This was a hilarious segment of the night.
Somebody super chatted last night for Fightful that Harley Cameron is Daffy Duck. And just
she kills it in this comedy stuff, man. She kills it. She is so good.
So like the whole thing of like Daffy Duck, like the rabbit season, duck season thing, like that was like a classic trying to just one up the person that you can't stand moment.
Yeah.
It's just like, you may be the Harley Cameron of Japan, but I'm the Harley Cameron of Harley Cameron.
Yeah. Hilarious.
She is so funny.
Yeah, she's very good.
She's really funny. And there's a little side conversation going on in the chat right now.
Oh, look at it's not it was not a hard segment to watch. It was very easy on the eyes. That segment again.
Okay.
But it is what it is.
That's all right. I got to see, got to see Ospreay and Ricochet and all the people that are easy on my eyes.
Yeah.
But
look, I just thought it was very funny. The Mina Shirakawa character does use her sexiness as part of the shtick. She knows what she's doing in her outfits and the way she does things. And, I thought it was very well done, and it was funny while trying to be kind of risque. And
here's the thing.
It was well done.
That name mentioned in the chat, that name does it as an exploitive thing.
Correct. I thought this was very tasteful.
This was not exploitative.
I fully agree.
That word is.
Yeah.
This is just Harley.
Yeah, like Isaiah
trying to one up her opponent.
Yeah.
And in a very Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny type of a way.
100%. And this was very fun to me, Isaiah said. 100%. This was just fun, laughing. Like that was just a good little. All right, cool.
Like it was see you fun on Saturday. No, I'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah, and then and then Renee's like, I'm done with this shit. Cut it out.
It was legitimately. I actually laughed out loud and went back and watched it again.
Yeah,
and I am gay. I am not looking at the boobs. I just found it to be comedic, very comedic, and popped me.
It was good stuff. Good stuff. Segment of the night.
Now I need Ricochet and Will Ospreay to do that.
Well, right after this, we did not get Will Ospreay and Ricochet, but we did have a really, really good match between Lio Rush and Swerve. These guys killed it. This match was the best match of the night for my money. It was excellent. Well, there you go. See, Isaiah's right with you, Drew. Isaiah's right with you. I love this match between Lio Rush and Swerve, man. This match ruled. As you would expect it. Really, really good back and forth. Lio Rush is excellent. And I think Lio Rush, I want to talk about, obviously, there's stuff that happened at the end of this match. But first and foremost, did you love this match as much as I did? I thought this match was spectacular.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Friggin' lootly.
Just so good. Give me more of these guys. At the end of the match, though, as to be expected, Swerve gets the victory. He hits big pressure, gets the victory.
And then Swerve gets on the mic after this match. He says that everybody has the bright idea to try and come for him because he's the former world champion. They use my name as equity, and they use my accolades to kind of prove their points and all this crap. He goes, Leo Rush just tried and he failed. He goes, a couple weeks ago, Shelton Benjamin got laid out too. Yes, their sit down with Renee, the Hurt Syndicate, ruled. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Oh, I did not see that.
It's an online thing. Real good. Real good.
Okay.
And he says, it seems like I have to remind a lot of people who I am. He goes, now it's time this leads me to Bobby Lashley. He goes, 1 week from Saturday, full gear. But I want to fight tonight. I'm not running. There's nowhere to hide. And this is where, and look, accidents happen. I'm not going to get on Swerve. But Swerve said the wrong city. And it did not go over well. It did not go over well with the crowd. He called them Stamford, Connecticut when they were in Bridgeport, Connecticut. He said it. They immediately start booing. At one point, there's a "This is Bridgeport" chant and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I will just say, it's an honest mistake. And don't get me wrong, a mistake like that should not happen, but it's an honest mistake. Whatever. You had all night to get loud in that fucking arena, and you didn't because you sucked as a crowd. But the guy messes up, and then you're going to get loud. Go fuck yourselves. That's kind of how I view it in general.
You said it for me. Thank you.
Do you have the right to, hey, this isn't, yes. Do you want to rag on some? Fine. I got no problem with ragging on the guy because he goofed. It is what it is. Like, Swerve made an honest mistake. Whoop-de-fucking-do. I don't think it's anything that matters. But when you're Bridgeport, Connecticut, and you have a good show like that in your arena, and you're sitting on your hands and being quiet as hell the whole night, but then you decide to be loud and raucous and doing chants and shit when the guy makes a mistake, you're a shit crowd. You're a shit crowd. If you would have been loud and shit all night, and then that happened and it kind of fed into what you were doing all night, fine. But don't be quiet and not doing your job, because yes, you're there to watch the show, but the crowd has a certain job to do in wrestling things as well. And, it's one of those things where it's just like, dude, what? Like, again, not upset that they ragged on Swerve because it was a mistake and it's a flub. You say the wrong city. It happens. Not the first time. Won't be the last time. I understand getting on a wrestler like that, but when that's the loudest you were all night because you were just being a terrible crowd, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. That's all I'm going to say about that. But anyway, MVP and Bobby Lashley then make their way. MVP says that they like Swerve and they tried to recruit him because he has unrealized potential. And he goes, and one of the things they wanted to teach him is that there's strength in numbers. And he said, and he's going to learn tonight. And Shelton Benjamin attacks Swerve from behind, throws him to the floor. Lashley is then down there. He attacks and he's throwing Swerve into the barricade. He's giving him clubbing blows and knees, repeatedly throwing him into the barricade. Then in the ring, MVP is holding Nana back, and Bobby Lashley hits a spine buster on Swerve, and then he puts him in the hurt lock, and then they throw Nana to the floor. And that's how this segment ends, with the Hurt Syndicate and Bobby Lashley standing tall. Yeah, and I think it worked a little bit different from R-Truth because R-Truth's character is he's like an idiot goofball. So they were able to portray that in a way of, oh, that's just R-Truth, not knowing where he is, goof. This was more of, Swerve is not that type of character. Look, and it was an honest mistake. Who gives a shit in the scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
It's just, if you're going to be...
The crowd is the shit
yeah,
crowd.
like if you're going to be that type of crowd that then goes after him the way they did because he made that mistake, but then the rest of the night, you're kind of sitting there quietly and not living up to the billing of being at a Dynamite, like, you're trash. And it is Connecticut. I'm not shocked, but you're trash. It is what it is. I just, if I can make fun of a New England state besides my own, I try to. So, except Vermont and Maine. I got no problem with Vermont and Maine. The rest of them, though, hey. But anyway. So that was the end of this segment. Getting violent with Nana again. Not cool.
Feels like something's going on there.
He's definitely going to wrestle, right? It's going to be MVP and Lashley at some point versus, because Nana, he mentioned early on with MVP that he can wrestle. He used to try, like, we're definitely getting a Nana match, right? Like he's gonna him and
I would
Swerve.
like to. I mean, I don't know. It's his not wrestling is a personal choice or an injury thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if he is able to, I would love to see a wrestling match. And if MVP is able to, I would love to see them go at it once. Why not?
Agreed. We then get Jamie Hayter being interviewed backstage. She said that she's just going to continue to kind of right people's wrongs, and for right now, she's thinking about coming after somebody or coming after one thing, and we thought, I would assume it's one of the belts. I didn't know if it was going to be Mercedes or Mariah May, but she said, hey, I'm back. I'm getting in the groove. I'm here to right some wrongs, kind of fix some stuff. Maybe righting some wrongs could be Britt Baker. I don't know. But it seemed like she was going to kind of tell us what was next for Jamie Hayter. And then we get the screen goes out. It's black. And we get another one of these excellent Julia Hart vignettes. This one was Julia Hart waking up in a cold sweat. She has blood, like a bloody spot on her nightgown, her nightgown, whatever she's wearing. That's over her heart. Specifically, it was over her heart. She answers a phone, and Brody King is on the phone, and he tells her to wake up, and the line gets cut out. Then she goes into a bathroom. It looks like she's washing her face. The lights go red. There's more blood everywhere. Then she opens a couple closet doors. She takes a bow and arrow and her black hat that we are so used to her wearing, and then it just cuts. And we go to break. So I want to say this is the second vignette we've seen now for Julia Hart and her imminent return. Yeah. These things have been These things have been amazing.
They did the first one on Collision.
Yes, these things have been amazing. These vignettes, they have been very well done. So if we're getting Jamie Hayter and Julia Hart's going to be messing with Jamie Hayter on her comeback, like sign me the fuck up, Drew. Sign me up. I'm feeling Jamie Hayter being back, and I hope they start getting in more of a groove with her. But I am ready for Julia Hart to come back. I have loved these vignettes, and I am excited for a potential Julia Hart, Jamie Hayter thing. I'm very excited.
Yeah, these vignettes, I don't know who's in charge of these, who's producing these, but my hat is off to you. You are doing a phenomenal job. They are shot in such a unique to wrestling type of way, and man, they need to, if there could be a wrestling movie in some way, that person needs to be the one producing it, because they do a great job with these.
Yeah. Scott saying, for all the young people in the chat, that phone is a landline.
Yes.
There's a landline phone. I don't know how many of them exist
from the
anymore.
Generation of landline.
Yes, I don't know if any of those exist anymore. All our parents probably still have one. But I think, if you're under 30,
I actually have a landline. I don't have it connected, but I have.
Yeah, I have a landline too, because it's cheaper from my cable bundle to have a landline, because the cable companies are fucking crooks. And it's cheaper for my internet cable bundle to have a landline. But so I do have a landline.
Wait, you actually have cable?
Well. I do basic cable because, again, it's cheaper. We don't need to get into. Xfinity is the only choice I have in the town that I live in. If you are getting internet, Xfinity, Comcast, whatever, it's the only choice. You can't do anything else. You have to get them because cable companies are crooks. So you need to get them. And oddly enough, even though I do YouTube TV, that is my main.
Oh, you have
that I watch. Okay. I have YouTube TV. I stand by it. I've had it for years. It's very good.
I have it too. Great.
However, if I want to get the fastest internet speed that I can, so I can have good connection during these shows, streaming the video games, doing stuff like that, it is cheaper for me to get a bundle with a landline and basic cable than it is for me to just get internet. It is cheaper monthly for me to do a bundle like that than it is for me to just buy the internet. Because, like I said, cable companies and just big corporations in general are inherently evil. And they try to squeeze people for the most money they can. So in order for me to save the most money I can and get basic fucking cable, because I don't use cable, my internet would be cheaper if I had all three. So I got all three. And then a year from now, they're going to try to charge me like $300 or $400. So I'll call them and I'll say, no, I'm leaving you. And then they'll offer me the cheap rate to make me stay. And that's just a rinse and repeat every year. Because again, at the end of the day, they only care about getting your money. So if you threaten to leave, they will fucking bend over for you and do whatever you want. So there you go. There's my information. Screw corporations. But anyway, I digress. I don't
By
know.
the way, Isaiah said that the lady who's making these is vocal on Blue Sky.
Yes, I follow her. Yes, you can
Oh, you
follow
do?
her. Yeah, she's been very out there. A lot of the rest. I don't want to say it too much because I don't want the shitheads to get over there because we know they're coming. But the wrestling landscape on Blue Sky is very healthy and very wonderful right now.
Send me her thing because I'd love to.
I would have to find it, but I saw some wrestling people when they did the first one putting her on Blue Sky and saying, hey, this is the lady. Like she put a message out there on Blue Sky that was like, hi, I'm the person who directed the Julia Hart thing. And everyone was like, it was incredible. And, because of what they have been. And I assume it was the same person that did the one we saw last night too. It was very of that same ilk. I don't want to, what happens when you assume, but I'm assuming. But yeah, good stuff. All right. And then we are back, Drew, and it's main event time. Private Party makes their way to the ring. They are watching this because the winner of this match will be one of the matches one of the teams that will be in a 4-way match that we are getting at Full Gear. So we know Private Party's in there. We know the Outrunners are in there. And last night, the main event. Wait, is there a third team already? No, those are the only two teams right now, right? Private Party and the Outrunners. Before, obviously, we're going to talk about it. The main event was FTR going against the Kings of the Black Throne, Brody King and Malachi Black. And like I said, the winner would get in to the Fatal 4-Way at Full Gear. Very good main event. Very good tag match, as you would expect from these four. And I'm going to be honest with you, Drew. I went in there 100% like FTR's winning. FTR's winning this match.
Me too.
And at the end of this match, Drew, I was
pleasantly surprised.
Yes. Brody King choked out Dax and the House of Black, the Kings of the Black Throne, Brody and Malachi, win. They qualified, and they are in this match. No, Matthew. I don't want that guy anywhere near anything. He's a terrible human being. So I appreciate you coming in with your ideas, but that guy I do not need on my screen ever again in any company. No. So yeah. But anyway, I digress. But I was taken aback by the end of this match, Drew. I thought for sure FTR was winning. Not saying they were going to win the match at Full Gear, but I thought this was for sure FTR getting into this match. But they kind of flipped the switch, and I am very happy that it's the House of Black. It's about friggin' time we're doing something with the House of Black. I know Private Party just won the belt. 100% Sinner. That's how I feel about that. So I appreciate the comment. I appreciate you coming in, and hopefully you stick around. But that guy can go F himself. I don't care at all. So, I'm not putting that on the screen. I will not talk more about it. That guy should be nowhere near any of our eyes or television at all. So I loved it, Drew. I loved it. I'm very happy to see Malachi and Brody King get in this spot. I kind of want them to win the titles. Not kind of. I would like them to win. I know we don't have all 4 teams yet, and Private Party just got them. So I don't think they're gonna lose at Full Gear because they just got them. But I'm happy that they kind of did what I didn't think they were going to do, and they're giving House of Black this move here.
Yeah, I was like, oh, FTR is winning.
Right? I didn't even think it was a debate.
And then they didn't, and I was like, wow, I am very pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
And yeah, so I was like, okay, good. And so they've been doing the thing now lately where, of course, now people were reading into it last week like idiots.
Yeah.
Where like the House of Black are very respectful towards their opponents after their matches.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that means a full babyface turn for them or what's going on.
Yeah.
which I'm totally fine with that because I think they will probably do really good as baby faces right now.
Mhm.
So we'll, I guess, see what the development is of that. But yeah, I'm very, very much happy. I wasn't even really into the match that much because I was like, okay, when's FTR winning?
Mhm.
And so I really don't have any notes on the match because I just was like, okay, whatever. And then they didn't win. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Actually, this was actually really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, so now we have House of the Kings of the Black Throne.
Mhm.
I always go to say Circle of the Black Thorn, which is Angel verse.
Yeah.
Is Kings of the Black Throne, and then
The Outrunners, who
the
got a
Out-
victory on Collision. Now,
the
see, here's the
Outrunners,
thing. Go ahead. Yeah. I'm all
uh,
for it. Like, this is a perfect I remember when the Outrunners were first getting their flowers by the fans and getting over with the fans. You and I would come on here and we would be like, dude, we love the Outrunners. We like what they're doing. Do not let this, they can do this for the next couple months. They do not need to be rushed into a tag title picture with at the time the Bucks or anything like that because they're over. And I think AEW has done right by them. And this is a perfect match for the Outrunners to be in.
yeah, I agree.
Because they are going to be in this match. They are not going to win this match,
No.
but they are going to be in it, fighting for a title. The crowd is going to be majorly behind them. And there will be a couple things that happen in the match that maybe make you believe the Outrunners are going to pull this out. And then they're not. And then they can just continue to build that momentum and be the Outrunners on Collision until it actually is the time for them to pull the trigger and let those guys go for a title thing. Like, I think this is a perfect spot for the Outrunners. And I'm very happy about the Kings of the Black Throne. And then I would like that fourth team to be another team. I would like this to be kind of fresh teams, man. Like, I don't think the Acclaimed need to be the fourth team. I don't think we
They're
saw
not
last
gonna be
night.
the
It
fourth
doesn't
team,
need to be
definitely
FT. I want new teams. I think it probably, who it should be? Wait, who did the Outrunners beat to get? Did they beat Top Flight? Who did they beat to win?
Yeah, Top Flight.
Okay, so it can't be. I was going to say Top Flight. I'm trying to think of who the fourth team could be because I do want it to be a team that is not a usual. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to be a team that we're
Infantry.
That would be all right. They just joined up with Shane Taylor and stuff like that. They're, I'm trying to think of tag teams. It could be that would kind of be different because the Outrunners, that's a new team for us to see in this type of thing. Malachi and Brody King, not a new team to AEW, but a new team in the tag title things. Private Party are new tag champs, a new fresh team. I would like another fresh team to be that fourth team. So we'll have to see who that last team is. But that's how Dynamite ends, with House of Black, Kings of the Black Throne, standing tall, Private Party at ringside. They do a little stare down thing. I thought it was a fun show at Dynamite. Was it perfect? No, there were a few things that bothered me, but I thought overall, it was a very, very good and fun show of Dynamite, man. I liked it a lot. Hopefully next week is a go-home show. So, all right, we're going to talk about it because before we do leave, next week is we're getting close to holiday week here. So we have some plans coming up. We've already shared them with Love Wrestling and the Boss, and we will be promoting them as we go. We will be live normal times next week, as you expect from us, Tuesday at 10 a.m. talking WWE. Thursday, we will be here live, and that'll be a Full Gear preview show, as next Saturday night is Full Gear. So we'll be talking about a Full Gear preview show. The following week is Thanksgiving week. Okay. So we'll talk about this more next week too, but there's going to be, there will be Firmly shows for you at 10 a.m. on Tuesday and Thursday, as you expect. But due to the holidays, both those shows will be taped. So on Tuesday, you will be getting a taped show of me and Drew previewing Survivor Series on Firmly WWE. And then on Thursday, Thanksgiving morning at 10 a.m., we will still be here for you, but it will be a taped show of us reviewing Full Gear from AEW. So that'll be a week off of live shows from us. Still get weekly content, but it'll be a week off from lively shows. And then we will be back live. I think it's December 2nd or 3rd, whatever that Tuesday is after Thanksgiving weekend. We will be back live doing the thing. And then Christmas into New Year's week will be a similar thing, but we'll talk about that when we get there. We have some time before that. So just a heads up, next week, normal live shows from me and Drew like you normally get. The week after Thanksgiving week, which we'll remind you guys next week and on socials, you'll tune in here on Love Wrestling at 10 a.m. both those days. You will see me and Drew's handsome faces. They will just be tape shows as some of us are traveling. It's holidays, Thanksgiving. It's a busy time. So we just wanted to get that out there early. But that's what the next couple weeks are looking like here on Firmly Love Wrestling. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much to our new friends. Thank you to our old friends that always show up and give us the love. We appreciate you very, very much. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Drew, do the thing. I almost choked myself to death right there. Do the thing. Let the people know where they can find you and what you got coming up the rest of the week, and then we'll get up on out of here.
You can find me on Twitter at the Drew Nicholas. You can find me on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Skies are blue. From my old handle from last year, Big Money Drew .blue, whatever that is. Just search Big Money Drew on there. It's my same profile picture as Twitter. And Super Chats and Humper Chats over at Fightful. Usually on Saturdays, but now not just on Saturdays, some Wednesdays as well. And I'll actually be there on Friday for SmackDown tomorrow. So come hang out in the chats for those shows. Fightful's always got a great group of people, both on camera and off. And Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast, which is where you'll also see Sunday Sinner make frequent appearances. The trivia champion, as always.
Mm-hmm.
When he wins trivia on Wednesdays after Dynamite, I also win trivia because us gays stick together. And
Oh, yeah, brother.
So I'm assuming, Sinner, you won. So that means I also won. And yeah, so all the links for everything is in my bio on Blue Sky and Twitter, and go and follow everything and follow Firmly LW as well.
All right. Yeah, you can find me at JPJ Loves Gaming on all social media platforms. You can find me here every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. with Drew for Firmly Love Wrestling, WWE on Tuesdays, AEW on Thursdays. You can also find me here later on tonight and every Thursday night at 8 p.m. with Pluggo for the flagship show here at Love Wrestling, Between Two Beards. You can follow the show Between Two Beards on all social media platforms at B2 Beards. And every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on the Between Two Beards Twitter and Facebook, me and Pluggo talk a little NFL football. So if we have any football fans in the chat, we talk football every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on our social media handles. We tier up the teams. Pluggo calls them JPJ's tiers. It's basically a power ranking of the NFL teams we do. And I start yelling about teams and my team and all stuff like that. So yeah, you can follow me there. Those are my shows. Follow at B2 Beards. Follow at Firmly LW. Follow Love Wrestling CA in general. We got a lot of good people here that do a lot of good shit every week. It's fun. We appreciate all the love we get on these shows. But everybody enjoy the weekend. Drew and I will see you again next Tuesday. I'll see you later on tonight at 8 o'clock right here on this channel for Beards. I hope to see you all here tonight for Beards. But Drew and I will see you next Tuesday. And until then, you know the drill. Peace out.